Rolling.
Hi, it's Gabby again. I feel like you guys should all know me by now. Today we are working on still lifes. We have just gathered a couple objects that we just had sitting around. You can also just use whatever is on the counter at home or whatever you see right in front of you. As far as still lifes go, it is just what you see and trying to create it in the moment. So I'm going to work on what we have here. We took a bunch of pictures earlier so that you could just work on one object or multiples at the same time. Here we're going to use all of them. We'll see what I can do.
Miss Friends was thinking if you're 4, you pick 4 objects. 5, pick 5 all the way up to 10 or 11. So depending on your age is how many objects you can choose for your still life. You can do more if you would like to. Okay, hold on, I'm going to twist this up. I am tightening the tripod with a 9-month-old in my left arm. Okay. Here we go.
Alright, so I'm going to start with, well, since there's a bunch of layered objects, I'm going to start with stuff in the back, maybe.
Gabby's going to be using a pen just so that you can see better. It's harder to see when we use a pencil for examples, but I would definitely recommend all kids using a pencil and sketching lightly. I know that's sort of tricky to explain to kids, but when you do it lightly, you hold a pencil lightly, someone could just sort of flick it right out of your hands. And you'll have lighter lines that way. If you hold it really, really tight, you're gonna probably have darker lines and your fingers might start to hurt before you've worked too long. So think about light lines that erase nicely and they don't make your fingers cramp up. Gabby went to school to be a painter. I went to school and studied all types of art. So when she's around, I like to
Make me draw.
I like to have
not
Gabby
what I
do the
do.
drawings. And give her directions. Boss her around.
This is me just winging it, just like everybody should just carelessly
Don't
do
worry if your shapes aren't just right.
It's what makes them unique and fun. Plus, I'm using a pen, so there's no going back.
And Gabby's been doing this for a long time, longer than any of you kiddos have been alive.
I am 30 years old, yeah.
Think about lines and shapes that you see. She's working on the car right now.
I just did 2 circles, bunch of lines.
Baby Bear. Baby Bear is talking about those shapes too.
He thinks they look good. He's a big supporter.
Gabby's style would be it's more of a sketch.
Oh, we're totally sketching. Otherwise, I'd be here for hours.
Don't worry if it's not perfect. Still try. But don't worry if you think, oh, that line's not just right. It's fine. Practice, practice. You can set up different still lives if you think, oh, I didn't really love that one. If you guys would have seen behind the scenes, it took us, well, good 45 minutes to finally decide this was going to be our still life. And it took a good almost 45 minutes just to get the lighting right before that. Just to go ahead and change the still life up again. If you guys have a bowl of fruit at home or where you keep your fruit or veggies, that would be a great thing to do. If you're little, don't go grabbing some fancy old vase. Get permission, get help. If you're just using toys from your room, you probably don't need to get permission. If you're going for a vase, you better please get permission.
The fun thing about having a bunch of objects is just the more that you include, the more depth it really kind of gives your piece. Miss Friends drew a beautiful flower on her pumpkin, but I am totally gonna ignore that.
Inspired by Van Gogh's sunflowers.
Just gonna appreciate what she did and use the shape.
I don't know where to put the baby.
Give him to his father.
His dad is busy doing a crossword puzzle.
It's a Saturday.
Now we got the dog in.
She's cute. My pitchfork paintbrush here.
I can't wait till she gets to the vase with the black-eyed Susans that I picked. Oh, she didn't draw the beautiful sunflower on the pumpkin. I guess.
I already talked about it.
Oh, it's okay to not include everything.
Yep. I said I appreciate it, but I'm gonna ignore it and appreciate the beautiful shape of the pumpkin itself.
Oh, jeez.
Scooter!
Sorry, kids.
Sometimes with negative space, which is like right here in between, I just color it black because it emphasizes that even though black is in the jug, I'm going to show the negative space instead. Oops, I think my head just bonked out.
I put the watercolors out. Thinking I might paint it afterwards. If you want to keep it sketchy with just ink or just pencil, you can do that. If you have different types of paint you want to use, you could use different types of paint.
You can see absolutely how incorrect this is, but just including all the objects makes it interesting to look at, in my opinion.
We're going to have to add a table so it's not just floating in space. I'm digging it.
My professors always loved that mine were not what they looked like.
I think this looks like a pretty accurate representation. Don't be hard on yourself.
Exactly. Plus, I'm going to go in with some color because I think that makes it way more fun. Especially if you're doing it with a pen. Alright, where's our foreground here? Katie doesn't want floating or Miss Friends.
Foreground means front. Middle ground, guess what that means? Middle. And background, also pretty easy to guess. That is what's in the back.
Oh, two big windows behind me.
Whoopsie
Oops.
jeepers. And there you have it. Thank you. Whoops, and I didn't end the film yet, but...
We're going to paint.
Oh, we're gonna paint. I keep thinking that I'm on time lapse or stop motion. Let's see if I can. Sorry for the background noise. We have a 9-month-old. Oh, and he is excited right now.
Go, Mom!
There we go. Let's give him a little peek to see how you did.
Alright.
Peek a rooster.
I'm using my 4-year-old's watercolors.
Just basic Crayola. It's nice to wake them up. Dab a little bit of water in each one.
Oh, we're going to wake them all up?
Well, you could, but I think they were already quite awake.
Yeah, they've
since the lid was
they've
shut.
been used frequently.
After using watercolor, if you use watercolor, leave the lid open so that they dry. Otherwise, they turn into total gooey, yucky messes. Gabby's speed painting.
Well, painting's what I do.
Oh, she's a painter.
All this other stuff, I'm
You
just
guys already knew that.
trying.
And she's not trying to be 100% perfect. She's giving it
No.
same with how she did a sketchy drawing. It's almost sort of a sketchy painting style right now.
Well, it's also just fun because you get to do a bunch this way and you can figure out what you want to focus on. So right now, this is like what I used to call thumbnails. I mean, it's an actual term too, but just something that you can like see what you enjoy the most out of it and then focus on that. So like the fun part about doing a still life is like, okay, I'm looking at this, I like a lot of it, but what I would like to maybe focus on more is like the dinosaur or the flowers. So just kind of giving it a feel. This is obviously doesn't look perfect at all. I think you guys can take from it that it's a dinosaur because you see that that's what's on the table, but does it look like one? No, I want to focus on that next time.
Oh, she's being hard on herself. We all know it looks like a long neck.
Kind of.
Stegosaurus, is that what it is?
It's definitely a long neck. Good job.
Okay, I was like, I didn't get any positive confirmation.
Being watched by others through glass. Alright.
I dig it.
Yeah. This is why I enjoy still lifes, is just making them. So, well, what I was talking about earlier with Miss Friends was an artist that people call Cezanne, and he is one of the forefathers of Impressionism, and he did a ton of still lifes, and it's just what's right in front of you in the moment and kind of making it almost have movement to it is what Impressionism means. It's like to really capture the moment. So that's the light at the time or the wind at the time, what's like right in front of you and what's happening. And by just kind of freely sketching and painting, it's capturing what I'm seeing right now. I mean, even the chaos of like having babies screaming in the background, it's all kind of in there.
Oh, and we keep on bumping.
Yeah.
It's in there.
The bumps are in there too.
I wonder if everybody can hear Baby Barry through the
I
sliding
sure
doors.
do. That's what I'm saying, that's in there.
We'll see how well this old iPhone picks up background noise. So what we do for fun when we're together is we go back and watch the videos that I've made for everybody to hopefully enjoy. We're entertained by them for the most part. I should have done a still life from another angle, but I didn't want to tear papers out of my notepad. If some of you are really stumped on what you should draw for a still life, think about when you were doing your stop motion films and a lot of kids pick their favorite toys or things that they were interested in. So you could go back and think about what you used for stop motion and create a still life out of that. Or recreate one of the frames that you had in your stop motion. That would be kind of groovy. If you saw, Gabby's using the lid of her paint to mix her colors up there.
It's a great spot for the water to retain. I like to use blue for glass color.
And if you're mixing colors, the neighbor colors or analogous colors, analogous is the fancy word, but I call it rainbow neighbors. So if they're next to each other, like purple and blue mix well with each other, blue and green mix well with each other. Those three are your cool colors. Green and yellow mix nicely. It makes yellow green. I should have probably started at red. Then these two mix nicely, and those two mix nicely, and you've got your first three colors are your warm colors. Think hot like the sun, red, orange, yellow. And then cool, blue and purple, or cool green. I mean, I can't think of much cold green stuff, but when I think of blue, I think cool. So here's your cool colors and your warm colors.
Something that I like to keep in mind when I do watercolors, we were talking about foreground and background and middle ground earlier, but to add depth to an image with watercolor, it just takes like the tiniest amount of color and lots of water. Like I've been using mostly water here, and you see this kind of blue turquoise that I've created. And it just makes all the other stuff behind it and all the other watercolors kind of have more purpose.
Intent.
Yeah. Even though I'm really not thinking, that's just an easy way to make it look like.
So we've got elements of design going wild here. We've got line, shape, color. I might goof up and say a principle, but balance. Gabby added some value.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were talking about movement earlier.
Mm-hmm. That's really important with Impressionism, which is kind of what I'm calling this style right now.
And she talked about adding more water. If you do too much and
Never move the still life.
whoops, if there was way too much water, you might oversaturate your paper and get a rip if you push too hard. So just remember it needs some dry time in there. Don't get it too soaking wet to where you might rip your paper. Unless you're ready to make a second one. And I don't expect anybody to have this brush around your house, but hey, maybe more if you have a painter's brush than you actually have kid painting
This is
brushes.
for painting walls.
Wall brushes it is. Maybe that's what we'll be painting with after all.
Just gonna use that orange blob here for.
Whoops, she accidentally bonked some of her orange and just blended it all in to make it look like it was on purpose.
I feel like all of you can do it just as good, if not better.
Just as well.
Just as well.
Where's your signature?
It's drying.
Oh, well, once it dries, name and date if you want to remember when you made it. I usually do bottom right hand corner.
What is today? 26.
Yikes, I don't know.
Well, see, that's why I
2020.
said it needs to dry.
Okay, well I thought you were going to use the pen.
It's okay. It's part of the piece.
Okay, we are done.